Hey guys, I wanted to speak about OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. The reason being, I feel it's one of the most misused or one of the most misunderstood mental health disorder. The reason being, we use it in our day-to-day conversation. We use it colloquially and casually, and we say that I have OCD with regard to cleanliness, or I have OCD with regard to making sure things are in a particular order. Yes, OCD is related to it, but it is much more intense. But it is also much more difficult for a person who's actually going through and who's actually dealing with OCD. So we need to make sure that we do not colloquially use this term and reduce the intensity and reduce the importance of understanding what OCD exactly is, and so that we can actually support people who are actually going through this and let them understand and know that help can be given, help can be provided, and they're not alone. OCD mainly comprises of obsession and compulsion. All right, obsessions are the thoughts which comes to your mind in a repeated manner. All right, you're not able to control the thoughts. So, and also the compulsion can be defined as the act which you do to reduce the intensity, or which you do to reduce the anxiety that obsession brings. So any act that you do to reduce the anxiety or to reduce the impact of the thoughts, it can be defined as compulsion. So obsession and compulsion in a together form or combination of both can be defined as OCD. It is very excuse me, it is very difficult to handle this thought and to handle this compulsion. It is very time consuming, it is very anxiety provoking, and a stressful phase a person goes through in order to deal with it. But the fact that a person is dealing with it and a person not knowing what exactly is happening is one of the worst thing that can happen. There is a lack of awareness about what OCD is. With regard, yes, there is, people do talk about it, but it is not understood in the way that it has to be understood. For example, for a person who does not know what OCD is, right, and who does not think that OCD can be so intense, right, when he experiences such thought, all right, for the first time, when he starts having this obsession and compulsions, he may find it very difficult to accept it, he may find it very difficult to deal with it, and he may actually believe that he's not able to get any kind of help, he will not be able to get out of this thought, which makes it even more difficult for the person to deal with it. So it's very important that we understand, we do what we can to make sure that we help the right people, and we help them to understand that things are going to be okay and things are going to be fine. So there are different types of OCD. The OCD is a type of mental health disorder where it can be classified into various types. There is OCD with regard to cleanliness, OCD with regard to which is generally called as harmful OCD, where a person thinks that he or she might do something very very negative, or I wouldn't use the term negative. He or she might have a thought that they might hurt somebody they love, they might actually harm somebody that they really love. It can extend to the part that, or it can extend to the thought that they may actually kill the person that they are very close to, who they consider very important in their life. And there is also sexual OCD, which is very less spoken and which is very less understood, which needs to be put in the spotlight along with other types of OCD. So it's very important that we understand this. And there's also OCD with regard to religion and with the thoughts about God, the thoughts about committing a sin, the thoughts about the thoughts that with regard to that the God is punishing you, the God is angry with you, or you are a sinner. the thoughts which regard to religion, which with regard to religion and with regard to God. So any type of OCD you take it, any type of OCD you try to understand, it's very important to know that these thoughts are very repetitive. All right, these thoughts are very time consuming. You try your best to get rid of the thought, and on its own it does not go away. And when you know that you're not able to control these thoughts on your own, you engage in a certain act, right? You respond to this thought to make sure that you do not have this thought anymore. All right, so you do what the thought ask you to do. For example, with regard to cleanliness, you may actually think that your hands are dirty or your hands are contaminated, and to get rid of the thought, right, you will actually wash your hands repeatedly, to make sure that you are okay, you are fine, and you're not contaminated, or you're not affected by it. One of the main reason for responding to this thought, all right, which is very important, very important to understand, right? We may think that why is it very much necessary to respond to this thought? Why don't they try to disapprove the thought, or they don't try, why don't they, the people with OCD, why don't they try to disregard the thought? But it is very difficult to do so. It is easier said than done, because every thought, every obsession that they might have is associated with something important in their life or somebody important in their life. For example, right, if you take a example of a harmful OCD, right, harmful OCD is very much related to the people in their life, right? For example, they might think that they might hurt somebody or kill somebody, whom they are very close to, whom they consider very important in their life. They do not want to have this thought. All right, you can think for yourself. Just imagine that having a thought that a sudden thought that today you will kill your mother or your father, and today you might do something to hurt the people who's very close to you. And imagining having that thought again and again, it can be very difficult, as you can understand. All right, so this thought keeps coming again and again and again, and you do your best to get rid of it. You do your best to make sure that you don't have it, but it keeps coming again and again, and you do everything that you can, mentally, physically, to get rid of it. And after a certain point, as you respond to this thought by the compulsion that you do, for a certain period, for a certain time, your anxiety reduces, right? Your anxiety goes down. So then you feel that, okay, fine, I'm done with this thought, I will not have this thought again. But what happens is the thought comes back again, and you obviously resort to the thing that made this thought go down, or the thought that obviously do the act that made the anxiety go down. So this becomes a cycle. As the thought comes, you do, or you act to reduce the thought, right? You feel better for some time, thought comes back again, and you do something else, right? You do the act again to reduce thought, or rather to reduce the intensity of the thought. Like I said before, it is very much attached to something important in their life. It's someone important in their life. That is the main reason they continue to focus on this thought, or continue to feed this thought by the compulsion that they do. All right, it is easy for us to disregard a thought, if it is related to us. All right, yes, definitely it's difficult for us to think that, okay, something might happen to us, right? It's very difficult to digest that. But even more, what can be difficult is that if a thought comes to us, not only a thought, all right, an image comes to us of us hurting with regard to harmful OCD, us hurting, or us killing somebody that we love, that we truly love. All right, just imagine the graphic image coming to your mind of you doing it can be extremely anxiety provoking, and can be extremely saddening uh, for the person who's going through this. So they do whatever they can to make sure that they don't have this thought. All right. In other words, they're trying to protect the person that they love mentally, right? And they are doing this, they are trying to save them, or they are trying to make sure that that person, that they are trying to make sure that they don't hurt the person by focusing on the compulsion or focusing on the act that they do to reduce the anxiety. So it's very important that we understand that, because it is not so easy to say that, okay, we need, when you have this thought, why are you focusing on it, why can't you just ignore it? It's very difficult to ignore. The reason being, it is very much attached to something important in our life or somebody important in our life. So OCD is not just with regard to excuse me, OCD is not just with regard to us. It also plays a very important role in connecting the people around us too. And it does make sure that people around us are also involved directly or indirectly, and makes the whole process even more worse for us. So it is very important to understand that, with regard to OCD, treatment can be done, definitely. Medication is it's an effective method of treatment. And ERP, which is exposure response prevention, which is a very important way of dealing with OCD. It's a type of treatment, it's a type of therapeutic treatment, where a person with OCD is exposed to their fears or their anxiety provoking thoughts, and they are made to understand that it's just the thought, and you don't have to be worried, or you don't have to think they are true. They're actually true. It's just the thought. So once they are exposed to it, once they are confronted without focusing on the compulsion, without acting on it, they understand, they become more aware that okay, this is just a thought, and this is just a OCD thought. I don't have to focus on it. It's just a thought that comes to mind. That's a OCD thought that's coming into my mind. I don't have to focus on it. So it's very important that exposure to this thought is it's very effective way of treating OCD. But at the same time, a psychologist or a psychiatrist has to be there to make sure that they deal with this, or they get exposed to this thought, and they in a proper manner, because they have to guide them, so that when they become anxious by facing the thought, they are able to guide them, and they are able to help them to go through this anxiety in a proper and the right manner. So a right kind of treatment is very along with the right kind of treatment, right kind of understanding is also very much required. A right kind of support also is very much required. So I feel it is important that we talk about it, we discuss it, and we let people know that help is definitely available. Help can be given, and we do not take OCD for granted. We do not use this term colloquially or casually, and reduce the intensity of it, and reduce the actual meaning of OCD. It's not right for us to do it. It's not right for us to to say in a statement, like, if if when you do not have OCD, to say just that I may have OCD with regard to, or I have OCD with regard to the things that's with regard to cleanliness or whatever it is. If you know that you're using it casually, or if you know that you're just using it colloquially, I would definitely ask you not to do it. I would definitely ask you not to say that word in a colloquial term, because it's very disabling. It's a very impactful mental health disorder, which can actually make a person get impacted so much so that they are not able to focus on the day-to-day life and the people around them. And they tend to be very lonely, very sad, and which can actually lead them to be more depressed, which can actually lead them to be depressed. So we need to understand how important it is. So awareness is one of the main key with regard to OCD. So if you know a person who's going through OCD, if you know somebody who is dealing with OCD, talk to them about it. Tell them that treatment is available. More than treatment is available. Yes, definitely treatment. Talking about treatment is important, but more than that, help them to understand what OCD is. Support them. Tell them that this OCD, the thoughts you are having are not real thoughts. They are irrational thoughts, and it's also been studied that the people who have this thought, right, they are not a kind of people, or they are not a kind of person who would definitely do such an act. For example, if you have a person with OCD who's thinking that he or she might harm somebody he or she loves, it is very, very unlikely, and it is very not the it is not how the person is, right? Or it is very unlikely, as I said, that they would do something to hurt their loved one. So as they are able to understand this, as they are more and more able to understand, they will start feeling better. They will start feeling that no, okay, it is just my OCD thought, there is nothing much more to it. So help has to be given, and there are various types of OCD, like I said before, which I would like to talk about more and more in my coming videos. And yes, this is something about OCD. It's just a introduction. Whatever I said is just a very brief introduction, but I thought it had to be said. So thank you for listening. I would do, and I would like to do more videos on with regard to OCD, and because it's a very vast topic, and it's a very misunderstood topic. And thank you for listening. All right, thank you so much for all the support you've been giving me with regard to the comments, and with regard to whatever you guys have been saying. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I see a lot of people who a lot of my friends who's focusing on mental health issues, and who's giving importance to mental health, and they're talking about it. I really do appreciate that, and I really feel happy that they're doing it. It's a wonderful thing, and I congratulate them all, and I really appreciate them for what they're doing. Right, such an amazing thing to do. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening again. And if there are any questions or any queries, please feel free to ask me about it, and I would be more than happy to make another video to talk about it, or to help you understand about it as much as I can. And thank you so much, and yeah, take care.